Welcome to In Focus on UATV. Russia thought time was on their side. They were wrong. Today, President Zelensky's trip to Washington just locked in high-tech air defense and brutal new economic sanctions. And on the front lines, Ukrainian-made ballistic missiles and AI drones are now hitting targets hundreds of miles inside Russia. Let's get right into the facts. President Zelensky's meeting with Donald Trump and U.S. senators delivered hard results, not just photo ops. Ukraine isn't asking for handouts. It's operating as a high-value defense partner. From joint missile production to cutting off the Kremlin's shadow fleet, here is what really happened in Washington.
No joint press conference and no dramatic announcements, but clear political results. That is how analysts are assessing the meeting between President Volodymyr Zelenskyy and President Donald Trump at the White House. The key topics included strengthening Ukraine's air defense, licensing the domestic production of interceptor missiles for the Patriot system, and increasing sanctions pressure on the Kremlin. Following the meeting, Trump wrote on his social media platform that the talks had gone very well. Meanwhile, the American magazine Newsweek described the meeting as a turning point in U.S.-Ukraine relations.
If U.S. President Donald Trump wants allies that fight their own wars, build their own weapons, share intelligence, and help increase pressure on America's adversaries, he already has such an ally, Ukraine. A country that the Trump administration long viewed primarily as a recipient of aid and a burden on the U.S. budget, has demonstrated that it is ready to shoulder serious responsibilities, from the Newsweek article.
Another significant outcome of the Ukrainian delegation's visit was a key procedural vote in the U.S. Senate on a new sanctions bill targeting Russia. Following President Zelensky's meetings in Washington, the measure received the support of 86 senators. The bill would authorize the U.S. president to impose 100% tariffs on imports from countries purchasing Russian oil, uranium, and natural gas. It also includes sanctions targeting Russia's defense industry, financial institutions, and the so-called shadow fleet.
This bill says to Vladimir Putin, your days of war are numbered. You are on the losing side. Better to come to the table now than sacrifice more lives, waste more money, crater your economy, destroy your standing in the world. America stands with Ukraine.
Well, as all my colleagues have said, this is a critical step forward in helping Ukraine to end this unprovoked war. And it is a tribute to Lindsey Graham, to Dick Blumenthal for the year and a half of work that they negotiated and to bring it across the finish line now with a very targeted piece of legislation that is designed to cut off the money that is fueling this war from Russia. And that's the goal of this bill. So it's not just sanctions, it's the tariffs to ensure that they can no longer benefit from selling their oil and gas through the shadow fleet.
Another major result of the Washington talks concerns Ukraine's air defense. Kyiv hopes to receive 300 ballistic missile interceptors before winter. President Zelenskyy raised the issue both during his meeting with President Trump and in discussions with U.S. senators. He stressed that Ukraine's stockpile of interceptor missiles is being depleted rapidly, while Russia has been launching up to 30 to 40 ballistic missiles during a single large-scale attack.
Sanctions against Russia are extremely important. This is not only about cutting off Moscow's ability to finance the war, it is also a powerful signal to Europe and a strong expression of support for our people. I am deeply grateful for that. We also discussed missiles, so that Ukraine can eventually produce everything it needs. We have more interceptor drones than electronic warfare systems. Our real challenge is anti-ballistic systems and interceptor missiles. I shared our needs with both the president and the senators, and we will do everything we can to address them. It is a major task. Volodymyr Zelenskyy, President of Ukraine.
During the visit, President Zelenskyy also met with executives of the American defense company Lockheed Martin, which manufactures several systems that are critical for Ukraine's defense, including HIMARS, F-16 fighter jets, and missiles for the Patriot air defense system. Technical teams from both countries are already working on solutions to establish joint production lines as quickly as possible. Ukraine is participating as a full-fledged partner and is prepared to share the unique battlefield experience it has gained during the war.
Today, relations between Ukraine and the United States are much closer to reality than they were a year or even 18 months ago. At that time, Washington still seriously believed that soft diplomacy could produce agreements with Russia while taking a tougher approach toward Ukraine's proposals. missiles. Now the relationship has returned to the proper framework. The basic facts are clear. Russia's aggression is the root cause of the war. The only obstacle to ending it is Russia and Vladimir Putin. His unwillingness to act rationally makes any realistic peace negotiations impossible.
The key question now is how quickly the agreements reached in Washington will be implemented. Within the next 2 weeks, U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, President Trump's son-in-law, are expected to visit Kyiv. It will be their first trip to Ukraine, following a series of contacts with Moscow. Analysts say the Ukrainian delegation's visit to Washington could mark a new stage in strengthening defense cooperation between the two countries, while also advancing diplomatic efforts aimed at ending the war. Reported by Irina Yusupova, UATV News.
While diplomats lock in agreements, Ukrainian defense companies are building the weapons of tomorrow. Ukrainian engineers are scaling up deep strike ballistic missiles with a 500-mile range and deploying swarms of smart drones. It's a ruthless, cost-effective campaign aimed straight at Russia's military backbone. Here's a closer look.
Ukraine is launching mass production of domestically developed missiles and AI-powered drones. Defense company Firepoint is developing 2 ballistic missiles, the FP7 and FP9. The company's chief designer, Dennis Stillerman, recently shared a photo on X social media showing a nighttime launch of a Ukrainian missile. He had previously announced that preparations were underway for combat test launches, which are expected to begin this autumn. The FP7 is designed as a lower-cost alternative to the U.S.-made ATAS-EMS missile system, with a range of up to 200 kilometers. Its more powerful variant, the FP9, can strike targets at distances of up to 850 kilometers and carries an 800-kilogram warhead. The aerodynamic design of both missiles is based on Soviet-era technology, specifically the guided missile used in the S-300/S-400 air defense system. Firepoint's engineers deliberately chose to adapt an existing aerodynamic design, describing their products as clone missiles.
Russia's air defense systems were unable to intercept the FP5. Now we're talking about ballistic missiles with the corresponding speed of impact. But the most important feature is the warhead, 800 kilograms. This is an extremely powerful weapon, particularly against defense industrial facilities concentrated in Moscow.
This approach has allowed developers to save years of complex aerodynamic calculations and flight stability testing. Meanwhile, under the newly established anti-ballistic coalition, which includes 9 European countries, participating states have agreed to combine their defense industrial capabilities, research potential, and operational experience to develop a joint European missile capability, including missile defense systems.
This means shared logistics, joint production, joint investment, or more precisely, European investment. It's the right path to follow, and Ukraine is moving along it intensively. It will change Ukraine's position, both in the global arms market and within Europe.
Ukraine has achieved an unprecedented technological breakthrough, transforming itself from a recipient of Western military assistance into one of the world's emerging leaders in defense technology. According to Le Monde, investment in Ukraine's defense technology sector has increased dozens of times, enabling 800 domestic manufacturers to declare an annual production capacity of up to 10 million drones, while more than 200 companies have incorporated artificial intelligence into their UAVs. The state-backed innovation platform, Brave One, has already registered more than 300 defense innovations, over 70 of which have been validated in real combat conditions, the key competitive advantage of Ukraine's defense industry. This rapid progress has elevated Ukraine onto the global stage. Kyiv has already signed defense cooperation agreements with the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, while also establishing joint defense manufacturing projects with Germany, the United Kingdom, Denmark, and Norway.
Before Russia's full-scale invasion in February 2022, the sector was worth approximately 880 million euros. Since then, its value has increased by more than 50-fold. The pace of Ukrainian strikes has also accelerated significantly. On some nights, Ukraine has launched more strikes than Russia. Their operational range has expanded dramatically as well. In 2022, Ukrainian drones flew 650 kilometers to reach the Engels 2 airbase in Russia's Saratov region, from a Le Monde publication.
Acting Ukrainian Defense Minister Yevgeny Kamara says Ukraine must wage war asymmetrically, targeting Russia's military capabilities, rather than mirroring the aggressor's tactics. Speaking in an interview with American political commentator Laura Loomer, he emphasized that Ukraine's approach to warfare differs fundamentally from Russia's. Ukraine's asymmetric strategy is based on a strict economic principle. The cost of a Ukrainian strike should not exceed 2% of the damage inflicted on Russia. According to Kamara, this pragmatic calculation became the foundation of the well-known spiderweb operation, a large-scale drone attack targeting Russia's strategic bomber fleet, planned by an SSU Special Operations Unit under his leadership. He added that this extensive operational experience is fundamentally reshaping Ukraine's military logistics and support philosophy.
We cannot respond strike for strike. We must act asymmetrically. I have a clear understanding of what capabilities are available, what can be used against the enemy, and what will be the most effective going forward. Yevgeny Kamara, Acting Minister of Defense of Ukraine, from a publication on the website of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine.
Joint weapons production and technology sharing were also discussed in the United States during talks between President Volodymyr Zelenskyy and executives from Lockheed Martin, one of America's largest defense manufacturers and a long-standing partner of Ukraine. President Zelenskyy noted that the company produces ATCMS missiles, HIMARS systems, F-16 fighter aircraft, and interceptor missiles for Patriot air defense systems. The partnership is expected to strengthen the long-term integration of Ukraine's defense industry with NATO technologies while increasing the country's independence in weapons production and supply. Reported by Victoria Chistukina, UATV News.
The big picture is clear. Ukraine is innovating faster than Russia can adapt, and proving that smart engineering beats mass armor every single time. If you want the real story on how this war is being won, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and tell us your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching In Focus. Stay tough and see you tomorrow.